Well, it's week 7 of the LCS with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Santorin, who has a different look than I believe the last time I saw you. What all has changed? Because I feel like there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, so I'm basically still in the homeless mode. I just have a hair tie now. So like I
Okay.
tie up my hair because it's just simply way too long. And I figured the other thing I had before headband, my head got too warm, like especially like on my forehead.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I gotta find another solution. So I'm trying hair ties now.
Okay. And the facial hair is coming in more too.
Yeah, I should shave soon.
Okay. Wait, wait. Let's just be clear here. It sounds as though because you've got this whole thing. I thought that this was like intentional that you were growing the beard. Now it makes it sound like that you just haven't gotten around to shaving.
Well, it's somewhat intentional, but not really at the same time. It's more like I just don't see a week, like a point, like every single week, like shaving like a couple of times. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm not even in the studio. I'm just playing from home. It's first this weekend where we're actually on player camps.
Yes.
So I might change it up. We'll see. But I also think just my hair is so goddamn long, so it's like might as well just grow whatever you can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's a very I totally relate to that because there are a lot of times where I'm like I have worn socks like 4 times this summer. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
you just start to not care, and you have to be careful because it's really easy to just slip into degeneracy. When you're in quarantine, you're never leaving, and although you have teammates who I feel like you need to at least present some sort of image to, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, to an extent, like I think they don't really give a shit how I look. I guess
Yeah.
as long as I don't smell like shit. Like
Yes.
yeah. So I think I'm okay.
Yeah, Kobe, I've noticed, is increasingly wearing pants less and less whenever he's walking around the apartment. That's one of the things I've picked up on. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about how things have been going at FlyQuest. Because you guys had, I think, a pretty big slump. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
losses, and you went from kind of this team that people were like, okay, well, they were second best last split, to a team. You know, so you started out the split pretty strong. Then you just had things start to fall apart. You did some roster shades. Obviously you beat TSM last week, but I think a lot of people haven't been sure what form you guys are in. So, you know, what is your assessment of the team right now?
I think we definitely had a big slump. Like I don't think anyone can disagree with that. We are definitely getting back on track now. I feel like it's pretty funny because I remember last week of scrims. At one point we were like, wait, we're still getting our macro back, guys. Like we're actually becoming like a human team again. You know, like that was a point where it just felt like everything like is out of our control. Felt like we were playing really bad as a team. Because usually when we play a game, even if we're behind, we feel like we can still win the game and come back. But we had a point where even when we're ahead, it still feels like we might still lose the game. And that was like kind of like where we're slumping a lot. It feel like we're just really bad as a team. We're really disoriented in game. Like it just
Yeah.
felt like we weren't on the same pitch at all. And then I also think putting back Jason Wild Turtle, he's been playing really well compared to like how he played like a couple of weeks ago. I feel like he's been stepping up huge, and he's like definitely one of the big carries for our team right now, and it definitely makes the games easy.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think it was that was causing the lack of synergy? Because it's not like this is a bunch of players who haven't played before, right? It's not like this is the spring split and, you know, FlyQuest throughout the old roster. Like, so it's always kind of strange whenever I see players that have been playing together for a while just not be on the same page. I don't know how much of that was like you guys making the roster swap or what caused it, but in your mind, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been a big fan of six-man rosters. To me, even when we did the whole Viper versus solo last split, or like last was it last split? Oh Jesus, it must be last split, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But basically, it's quarantine man. But basically, like it just feels like the team has to kind of adapt to a different player and the way they communicate, the way they want to play the game. And even though you have like most of the core members, to me, like it feels just not. I don't feel like the same team, right? So we made the decision to go with 180 carry, and I feel like it's already like showing that we're already becoming a better team again. And whether it's only because of that specific roster change or not, probably not. But I feel like everyone individually, we were in a slump, and we all like pushed really hard to make sure like we got back on track.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I didn't get a chance to talk to you after the Team Liquid game last night. But what happened there? Because a lot of people were on a Team Liquid hype train, and even I think Riot and the broadcast was positioning it as like, who's gonna be in first, C9 or
Yeah.
TL, and then you guys just like railroad that storyline. It's just so I don't know what went down. Why was that so dominant?
I think stylistically we have a pretty good shot against TL. I think we're also one of the more controlled teams that I think we're getting more and more like willing to take risks. But I feel like TL is very a team that's like really standout macro, like you know exactly what they're gonna do. And obviously top lane became a 1v9 show in that game. I feel like Solo just took over the entire game for us, and honestly it just made the game so easy to play. But in general, every time I feel like we face them, I'm not too afraid of them. I'm just more afraid of the mistakes we might make. You know, like it feels like they don't like actually exploit our weaknesses that well. It's more like if we make a mistake, they'll take full advantage and like snowball the game from there.
Right. When you say you guys are a good stylistic matchup, can you expand on that a little bit? I mean, is it just like obviously people have been pretty critical that TL is not always the most proactive team. Do you feel like you're just able to be more proactive, or you're able to outcontrol them? Like what really is that style that you're talking about?
Well, I think the way we draft as a team right now is very hybrid. Sorry, like scaling mid lane champions. So like we have like a really strong mage mid game late game. We usually draft tank junglers, and I feel like if a team cannot exploit our weaknesses in the early game because we're playing like champs to scale really well, then I feel like we're just gonna like win the game later on. And I feel like that happens a lot against teams like TL. And I feel like against a team like C9, we can't really do that exact same draft. Like we'd have to like have a little stronger early game, like play a little less scaling because else they'll just like explode us in the early game, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's why like it feels easier to play against TL.
It's very difficult for me right now, and I think I've been saying this almost for a couple weeks now, where it's like I don't know which teams are really good. Like C9, and I don't even mean like maybe we all suck because it's NA and everybody's it's just a disaster, but I even mean like relative to each other. C9 for it kind of looked like maybe C9 was just way ahead of the pack, and then we started to see other teams start to take games off of them. But then, like those game teams look somewhat unstable. So I'm kind of curious, what is your impression? Like, are there any teams where you're like, okay, this team is quite good right now?
Well, I still think C9 is going to be the dominant team. They've kind of been slumping too, I guess. Like they
Yeah,
haven't been playing as clean as usual. But just like when you play C9, you know you're playing against a good team. When I'm playing against like any other opponent in A right now, I feel like we should have the upper hand. Just that's how it feels, you know. Like it doesn't
right.
feel like we have to outplay them really hard to win the game. Whereas like every time you play C9, it's like, God, man, hopefully the early game goes well this time, guys. Like,
Well,
um,
and maybe I should say like setting aside C9 because I know that like
oh, okay,
they're
okay,
still pretty solid, but I'm kind of curious if there are any other teams right now. Like obviously, 100 Thieves had some high moments and some low moments. EG seems to be in an interesting place given their new roster. So I don't know what your impressions are.
yeah, I think the best teams that I think of is like EG, 100 Thieves, and then TL. I still think TL is a really good team. For TSM, is very hit or miss for me right now. Like
Yeah,
I actually just can't tell. I think obviously like Björk is always playing really really well, and he sets his team up really well for success. But they have so many blunders, whereas like you wouldn't expect this out of a team like TSM, right? So to me, it's I don't know where to put them at all. Like
yeah.
I'd probably put like with us, it'd probably be like TL, and then right below that it'll be like EG, and then 100 Thieves, and then TSM. I don't know where the hell to put them.
Yeah, if you're a TSM fan right now, what do you think? Like, do you sit back and say like, okay, it's fine. Like they kind of have these random games, but in a best of five, they're going to be good. Or do you think you should be feeling kind of nervous?
Uh, kind of nervous, but also hopeful. I feel like they have a lot of good pieces, and I just feel like they're still not exactly on the same page. Like to me, a lot of the games explode in the early game because they make like one big mistake. But I also see them a lot of the time make really proactive plays, really smart, intelligent pathings, like a lot of good stuff, you know. But it's just
Yeah.
like if they make that one mistake because they're going for a high risk play, and then it fails, the game just like is over from the get go, you know. So I feel like they've had a lot of these games where game is over before it even began,
Yeah,
really.
do you think it's that they're being too aggressive almost? Because I know that the meta right now, a lot of pros tend to think it's like very snowbally and like one mistake can just sort of lose you the game. So is it just a situation where like they need to sit back, like almost the opposite of TL, where TL is like it'd be great if they could be more proactive and try to do something? Is TSM just like trying to do too much?
Yeah, I mean, I can put an example. Both our games against TSM, first game, Spiga did buff to enemy buff, like he went to invade me level 2. he got clapped out, and then that early game is like basically over already at that point, like because he was really low and couldn't do anything. And the other game we played against him, they level 1 invaded, they died, and then they can't really do anything again. You know, like I feel like they are going for these pretty risky plays where like if it works out, you're gonna take over the game, but if they don't work out, it's very hard to come back, honestly.
Yeah. Similarly, do you have any impressions on EG, because they changed 40% of their roster halfway through the split, halfway through summer split, right? Like it's very last minute, in my mind, kind of Hail Mary to get to Worlds and through playoffs. So do you think that that's working and everything's fine over there?
I think it's honestly a smart move because I mean, always like Bang and Huni are good friends. Like they're always playing together, duo queuing, streaming, that kind of stuff. And I feel like stylistically, Huni draws a lot of attention, a lot of pressure in top lane, which makes Bang just be able to free farm, you know. And Bang mid game, he's really, really good at AD carry, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he carries a lot of games for the team as long as he gets to that point. And then Golden Glue is kind of the player that just tries to help everyone. It seems like they're kind of putting him in that role, like Galio, TF, like all these champions that can just help the map. So
It's
I
kind of
think
like a
it's
Niski role almost.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, kind of, yeah. And I think that's honestly like a pretty smart move from them because this just lets Bang kind of like skill for free, and I feel like it's gonna pay off, honestly.
Yeah. Do you think do you think the Bang, it's becoming like Team Bang or whatever, where it's I mean, people used to be critical of any team that had double lift on it, right? Where it's just like protect the double lift. Do you think that we're gonna slowly move into like a protect the Bang situation for that team, or is Huni like enough of a personality and presence that it's going to be a battle for attention between top and bottom?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what I think is smart by them. Is like Huni draws so much attention, like
Yeah.
both in draft and like in game, whereas like you can't really just focus on Bang, you know? Like Huni's always making plays, he's always being really aggressive, sometimes having some really stupid deaths, but hey, jungle had to go topside to kill him, you know? Like that
Right.
means like Bang can be farming. I definitely think it's the Bang show like mid game. I feel like Bang is really, really strong. But early game, I feel like Huni is like drawing a lot of attention.
Yeah. So he's like he's a distraction. You throw him out there and it's like,
Yeah, basically.
oh, you better deal with him. Meanwhile, Bang is just silently farming and ready to kill people.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that we've got that figured out. Hey, obviously we spent a decent amount of time on the other teams, but I want to bring it back to FlyQuest here. Obviously the Sequest stuff is going on. I know you guys are probably heads down just on the game, but is there any kind of like, are you guys involved in the Sequest stuff at all? Are the players doing anything? Are you guys eating fish sticks or like swearing off fish? I don't know what you would do to celebrate Sequest, but I'm kind of curious if you guys are involved at all.
Well, we have had a decent chunk of fish lately.
Okay.
But in general, it's like, I mean, in game it's still the same thing where we gotta kill more people. Like we gotta get more, like, you know, we gotta do it for the sea, you know. And
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of like the main thing we can do. Like we try to be vocal about Sequest, and I think it's like a great concept that we're establishing as like a team, an organization. So I'm really, really excited to like keep doing this, and hopefully we can somehow win the entire split. So there's way more.
Yes. Well, looking forward to seeing how you guys do over the course of the next couple of weeks and into playoffs. Is there anything that you want to say to any of the FlyQuest fans out there?
Yeah, just thanks for still rooting for us. It's definitely been a down and uphill battle. I feel like we're finally getting back on track, and I think you guys should expect a lot from us moving forward.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the interview, Santorin. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. Oh, hey there. I didn't catch you. I was just drinking this Game Fuel. They don't sponsor me. I wish they did. But you know who does sponsor me? Alienware. Alienware.com/Travis. You can check out their stuff. We've got a dedicated page with all sorts of cool things going on. Just did a video recently with Ovly where I was streaming the Minecraft stuff, checking out the new RTX graphics that are available there from Alienware and NVIDIA. Fantastic stuff. Ray tracing, DLSS in Death Stranding, which I've been playing on PC recently after beating on PlayStation. I know some of you say Walking Simulator. I love that game. I beat it. It's better than you think. Either way, go check out alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the video description. Travis 10 off Q2 will save you 10% off, which is pretty significant on a great computer, a great laptop, great monitor. Also, do me a favor. Can you please subscribe? It would mean a lot to me. Maybe you say, hey, Travis, I'm not in the mood for a new computer right now. First off, you should rethink that mood. But secondly, you can do me a favor by subscribing. Thanks so much.